They said Florida had lost its mind, releasing more snakes to fight an invasion of giant pythons? The world laughed, but the Everglades were already dead. 99% of mammals gone, and something invisible was spreading through the swamps that could change Florida forever. The solution everyone mocked might be the only thing that can save it. The Florida Everglades was worth over $31 billion in functioning nature. Endless sawgrass, shimmering water, wildlife everywhere. Raccoons, bobcats, deer, birds filling the sky. A perfectly balanced ecosystem. But that world is gone, and it died so quietly almost nobody noticed. The nightmare started with Hurricane Andrew in 1992. It destroyed a reptile facility near Miami. A few exotic snakes escaped. At the same time, pet owners released their growing Burmese pythons into the wild. Just a few snakes. What harm could it do? Nobody paid attention. Those pythons were silent, hidden, breeding. For years, occasional sightings didn't trigger alarms. But those few snakes became hundreds, then thousands. Today, experts estimate between 100,000 and 300,000 pythons in South Florida. Each female lays up to 100 eggs per season. They're multiplying faster than anyone can count. The numbers are apocalyptic. Down 99.3%. Opossums down 98.9%. Bobcats down 87.5%. Marsh rabbits nearly extinct. Deer sightings dropped over 90%. The Everglades fell silent. The only thing thriving was the predator eating everything else. Why couldn't Florida stop them? Florida's environment is python paradise. Heat, humidity, endless food. They have no natural predators. Their camouflage makes them invisible. Finding one python in the Everglades is like finding a needle in a haystack the size of Rhode Island. These aren't normal snakes. Burmese pythons can swallow a deer whole. Some grow over 20 feet and weigh more than 200 pounds. Videos showed pythons fighting alligators and winning. The food chain flipped upside down. Researchers have captured over 23,000 snakes. Sounds massive, right? That's less than 1% of the population. The rest remain hidden, breeding, spreading. The swamp that pulsed with life now echoes with absence. Florida's first response was the Python Challenge in 2013, hundreds of hunters wading through swamps with traps and hooks. By 2024, 857 participants captured 195 pythons. The winner got $10,000. It felt like victory. But those numbers meant almost nothing. In 2025, the top hunter caught 60 pythons, the highest ever. Total captured, 294. But tens of thousands still slither free. The Everglades was gasping. Florida brought in professional hunters, paid by the hour. They went high-tech, robotic rabbits giving off heat, dog teams sniffing trails, drones scanning from above, GPS collars on raccoons, scout snakes with radio transmitters leading to breeding females. Ecological warfare. The harder they fought, the faster snakes spread. Since 2017, over 23,000 removed, less than 1% of the population. Every hunter pulled one out, dozens more hatched, like emptying the ocean with a bucket. Scientists admitted what many feared: full eradication is impossible. Every solution hit a dead end, and that's when something even more terrifying emerged. Something hiding inside the pythons all along. What if Florida's biggest problem wasn't the pythons, but something smaller inside them? The snake lungworm, Rayleigh orientalis, a parasite from Asia that arrived with the pythons and slipped into the food chain. Here's how it spreads. Python droppings carry eggs. Cockroaches eat the waste. Lizards eat roaches. Native snakes eat lizards and swallow the threat. Inside the snake, larvae tunnel to the lungs, grow, and feed on blood and tissue. The infection is brutal. Snakes suffer pneumonia, open lung lesions, sometimes dozens of worms crawling out through their mouths. Many starve because they can't hunt. 18 native snake species are infected. The parasite spread through dozens of counties as far as Jacksonville. The pythons started it, but the lungworm moves independently now through Florida's native snakes. When native snakes die, balance collapses. Rodents multiply. Predators lose food. Scientists fear even if every python vanished tomorrow, the lungworm remains. No cure, no treatment. Florida's war was already impossible. Now it's fighting an invisible enemy spreading faster than the pythons. And that's when Florida made a decision so wild the world started laughing. Florida announced they were releasing hundreds of eastern indigo snakes into the wild to fight pythons. Social media exploded. Fighting snakes with more snakes? What could go wrong? News outlets made it a punchline. Residents worried about safety. Why would adding more snakes help? To most people, it felt absurd. Florida spent years killing snakes. Now they're releasing them? But here's what nobody knew. The eastern indigo wasn't the villain. It was the missing hero. Once common in the southeast, the indigo nearly vanished from habitat loss. But this species was nature's python hunter. It eats other snakes, including venomous ones, without fear. An apex predator that ruled before pythons arrived. Scientists had worked for years breeding indigos in captivity and restoring habitats. What looked impulsive was actually decades in the making. While critics laughed, scientists saw a chance to restore balance, not with bullets, but with nature itself. The eastern indigo snake is the emperor of the forest. Growing up to 9 feet, it glides through grass with scales shimmering blue and black. Non-venomous but utterly fearless. It eats birds, rodents, frogs, lizards, and other snakes. It's immune to rattlesnake venom. It pins prey down or swallows it alive. One researcher found an indigo that ate a rattlesnake, tortoise hatchling, and hognose snake in one sitting. This predator doesn't need to roar. Its kingdom once stretched from Virginia to Mississippi across 90 million acres. But by the late 20th century, 97% of habitat was gone. Listed as threatened in 1978, the emperor's reign reduced to fragments. The indigo's fate tied to the gopher tortoise. Snakes used tortoise burrows for shelter and nesting. When tortoises declined, indigos followed. Despite near extinction, the indigo held something extraordinary. It was a natural snake hunter, unafraid of venom or size. In a region fighting pythons, that could mean everything. And the wild was about to prove it. For 20 years, pythons ruled without challenge. Then one December, researchers tracking a 13-foot python named Loki found his body with his head chewed off. A trail camera revealed the culprit. A bobcat weighing 25 pounds had killed a predator twice its size. Wildlife experts called it a first. For years, pythons were apex hunters feared by everything. Now, one of Florida's own turned the tables. The Everglades were fighting back. This wasn't isolated. Alligators ate smaller pythons. Eastern indigo snakes consumed juvenile pythons. Florida panthers took on invaders. Native predators were learning these snakes could be prey. One biologist said it perfectly, it's a score for the home team. Recovery doesn't happen overnight. One bobcat can't undo 2 decades of destruction. But every native predator that learns and adapts rewrites the story. For the first time in years, the fight isn't one-sided. Nature is responding through instinct and adaptation. But was it enough? What about those released indigos? The answer came from the most unexpected place. In autumn 2023, trail cameras at Apalachicola Bluffs captured 2 wild-born eastern indigo hatchlings, offspring of released snakes. For the first time in nearly 50 years, indigos reproduced in the wild in North Florida. It wasn't survival, it was revival. When biologists confirmed one hatchling wasn't tagged, meaning born outside human help, it proved the project worked. Indigos were living, hunting, raising the next generation in their habitat again. By 2025, more sightings across restored areas. A 6-foot male moving through scrub, 19 others identified across counties. A female from 2019 still thriving. The indigos were spreading. Places once quiet came alive with a predator returning home. The longleaf pine ecosystem once covered 90 million acres. Today, only 3% remains, supporting hundreds of animals and over 900 plant species. Conservationists spent years restoring native vegetation and reviving gopher tortoise burrows. Now, wild-born snakes crawl through those burrows. The ecosystem is functioning again. Alabama released 44 snakes in 2025, adding to over 500 indigos returned to their native range. Other states are watching, hoping to repeat the success. Nobody's pretending this eliminates pythons. Indigos can't do that alone. What they do is change balance. They eat young pythons, compete for food, reclaim the ecosystem. It's part of a bigger natural fix. What the world mocked as Florida's craziest idea is working. People believed Florida's wild was beyond repair. Releasing more snakes sounded ridiculous. Yet what seemed like madness became one of the most inspiring conservation stories in history. People mocked releasing indigos while cheering python hunters, not realizing both fought for the same goal. Hunters focused on control, scientists on balance. Together, they restored a broken system. Florida understood. You can't fix complex problems with simple solutions. You rebuild piece by piece until nature heals itself. The pythons will probably never be gone, but the Everglades doesn't need them gone. It needs balance. It needs its native predators back. And slowly, quietly, against all odds, that's happening. The Emperor is home. And the Everglades are waking up. So what do you think? Was Florida's gamble genius or madness? Could this work in other ecosystems? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this amazed you, smash that like button and subscribe for more wild stories nature has to tell. Click the next video to discover another ecological mystery. Thanks for watching.